So here's the thing. Most of us were taught to chase happiness like it's a checklist. Journal, meditate, go to therapy, drink the ugly ass green juice. But what happens when you do all the things and still feel kind of eh? So that's what we're getting into today. And this episode isn't about any kind of toxic positivity or mood boosting hacks, blah blah. It's about what positive psychology actually says about living well. So if you've ever felt like you're failing at happiness, this is your gentle invitation to stop chasing the high and start tending to what actually makes us feel alive.
There's a different way to think about mental health, and it starts with slowing down. Sometimes the longest way around is the shortest way home, and that's exactly why we're taking the scenic route. Hi, I'm Jennifer Walter, host of the Scenic Route podcast. Think of me as your sociologist, sister in arms, and rebel with many causes. Together, we're blending critical thinking with compassion, mental health with a dash of rebellion, and personal healing with collective change. We're trading perfectionism for possibility and toxic positivity for messy growth. Each week, we're exploring the path to better mental health and social transformation. And yes, by the way, pretty crystals are totally optional. You ready to take the scenic route? Let's walk this path together.
We really talk a lot about happiness. And with that, about balance, mental life, like work-life balance, about wellness, about all the things we're supposed to be doing to live a good life. And of course, that varies a lot. Um, but I don't know, if you scroll social media and there's like a couple of things that is always kind of like, that is the good life. But I know you and I, we've done a lot of the right things. We've meditated, we've journaled, we've exercised, we were eating well, we gone to therapy, and still we felt off at times. And this is really to say, this is not, again, like, you're not alone in this, right? I think most of us have learned to chase happiness the way we chase productivity, or also the way we glorify productivity as something to achieve, as the end goal. We treat happiness like it's a finish line. One more thing to run towards, to one more thing to kind of optimize, one more measure of how we're all doing. And yet, for all the energy we put into chasing it, it rarely lasts, right? It's blink and gone. And that's because happiness, at least the way we talk about it's fleeting in character. It's the good moments, the joy, the gratitude, the satisfaction, but not necessarily the deeper sense of well-being that carries us through harder times. And psychologists began to notice too a few years, I want to say years, but it's decades ago. They started asking, what if a good life isn't just about feeling good, but about functioning well? And that's how positive psychology emerged, right? Not as a study of constant happiness, but of what helps people, groups, even whole communities flourish. And as researchers Gable and Haidt put it, positive psychology is the study of the conditions and processes that contribute to the flourishing or optimal functioning of people, groups, or institutions. Do I personally like the term functioning? I don't know. It's very coded to me, but I don't. I'm not saying that it had this meaning for them, but I do love the idea of flourishing, right? And the idea of flourishing not as an alternative to happiness, but as a fuller picture of what it means to live well, to be alive and engaged and connected, even when life isn't easy and shit hit the fan. Um, and it's really so kind of like today. I wanna do this as a mini coaching episode. So if you're driving now or doing other stuff, that's cool. You just want to listen to this episode and then like go back to it at a later time. If you find a quiet moment to be present with this episode, grab a pen and paper now. You will know in a second why. Um, we're gonna do, I think this is now the perfect time to do the perma, to do a model that comes, or like a tool, to look at a tool that comes from positive psychology. Because it's like the end of October. We're not yet in the holiday spirit frenzy, and it feels like a good moment to kind of take stock of what is. And that's where the PERMA H model comes in. It's kind of a map of your well-being. So psychologist Martin Seligman, who is one of the founders of positive psychology, tried to map out what it means to truly flourish. He came up with a model called PERMA. The We're gonna look at PERMA H today, and the H for health was added in later. But so there, these elements together make up well-being, with P for positive emotion, E for engagement, R for relationships, M for meaning, A for accomplishment, and H for health. It's a really helpful framework, but it also reveals kind of like, it always also reveals something interesting about our culture and how we're currently living, to see what we're highlighting in this. And again, I always take these as a Polaroid of my current state of flourishing. So we're going to look at this not as a checklist, but as a helpful framework. And because let's be real, it's also a mirror for where we're putting energy into and where we're quietly tapped out. And that's really useful information for us. And of course, there's no right answer here. There's no right and wrong. It's just noticing. So get back to your piece and paper, draw a circle. Again, if you're doing other stuff, listen to the episode so you get familiar with the PERMA H wheel and revisit it at a later time. So now let's make your our own little map of flourishing. Like, draw a big circle on a piece of paper and divide it into six equal sections, and label each section, or each like section marker or arrow: P for positive emotion, E for engagement, R for relationships, M for meaning, A for accomplishment, and H for health. So we're gonna rate now them from then 1 to 6. Like how full, we're gonna look and tune into how full that part feels right now for you. 1 being empty or neglected, 6 being full and thriving. And again, this is not right or wrong. This isn't about judging yourself. It's simply about noticing where your energy is flowing and where something might be quietly asking for attention. I'm gonna walk you through each of them and just kind of like tune in. Don't overthink, but kind of like just go with what comes up. So the first one is positive emotion. It's joy, gratitude, pleasure, comfort. Like those small everyday lifts that make our life feel lighter. Like for me, it's a warm coffee in the morning. It's like seeing the sun through dark, like through the clouds, especially in the winter months right now. Is when I suddenly hear my kid laugh out loud. It's the small joys and moments of lightness that color our days. It's not about forcing positivity, but allowing yourself to feel the warmth, the gratitude, and the pleasure when it arises. So, questions to ask yourself here are: how often do I experience emotions that feel pleasant or uplifting? What kinds of activities, places, or people bring me genuine joy? When was the last time I felt at ease, peaceful, or deeply content? Do I make space for joy, or does it get pushed aside by busyness? What helps me return to appreciation when life feels heavy? So now rate P from 1 to 6, or from 0 to 6. Um, so the next section we have E for engagement. Engagement is about being fully absorbed. Those moments of flow when time disappears and you feel alive, fully alive in what you're doing. Ask yourself, what activities make me lose the track of time in the best way? How often am I deeply immersed in the present moment? Do I regularly do things that challenge or captivate me? When do I feel most energized or focused? And what helps me reconnect when I feel scattered or distracted? Again, rate from 1 to 6. Now we have section R, relationships. Flourishing depends on connection. The people who help you feel seen, safe, and supported. Ask yourself, how would I describe the quality of my current relationships? Who are the people I can truly be myself with? Do I nurture the relationships that matter most to me? When did I last express appreciation to someone I care about? And last, what kind of connection or support might I be craving right now? Again, rate from 1 to 6 as a snapshot of your current status of relationships. Meaning. Meaning is about doing the things that matter to you, that connect you to something larger than yourself. Ask yourself, to what extent do my daily activities feel worthwhile and aligned with my values? What gives my life a sense of purpose or coherence right now? Who or what helps me feel part of something bigger? 4. Do you understand why I'm doing what I'm doing, or I'm just moving through motions? 5. When I look at my life as a story, what themes keep showing up? Take a snapshot of this section and rate from 1 to 6. Then we have A, accomplishment. This is the pillar our culture is obsessed with, and still so many of us have a hard time truly celebrating it. Accomplishment, right? Achievement, mastery, success, progress. Um, Again, it's not just about how successful you are in traditional terms, but progress, mastery, pride in growth, just for its own sake. So ask yourself questions like, what am I working toward that feels meaningful to me? What am I proud of recently, even if no one else noticed? Which activities do I enjoy purely for the process and not the outcome? Do I or can I celebrate small wins? Or do I feel like I have to wait until I've earned it? Or lastly, what would it mean to succeed in a way that feels peaceful, not pressured? So again, take a snapshot of your life and how you feel you're celebrating your accomplishments, and rate from 1 to 6. Health, last pillar is health. So the interesting thing, I've mentioned this before, is this one was added later. It took psychologists a while to remember the body. The irony of it all. Um, and here, health isn't like the absence of illness, right? We can be ill and still tend to our health. It's energy, vitality, rest, embodiment, the sense that we're living in and not against our bodies. Health anchors all of it, like how you feel in your body, how much rest you get, and how safe and energized you feel day to day. So here, ask yourself, how does my body feel most days? Energized, tensed, depleted? Am I getting enough rest to truly recover and not just to recharge? How do I nourish myself? Physically, emotionally, spiritually? What helps me feel grounded and at home in my body? Do I listen when my body asks for rest or change? Tune inwards, take a snapshot, and rate from 1 to 6. So, look, now I really want you to look at your wheel and without making up 1,001 stories about it, just notice, observe, have a curious mind. Maybe right now you're strong in meaning but low in health. Maybe relationships feel full but accomplishments feel thin. We're not going into this with a sense of fixing. We're going into it with noticing. Because flourishing isn't a performance. It's a practice of awareness, of care, and tending towards things. Letting them shift, breathe, depending on where you are in your life. Flourishing has this very organic connotation of we have seasons of we go through all the seasons, right? We have a harvest, we tend to things, we have a harvest, we have like the winter where everything feels like it's retreating and like growing again for spring. Some seasons are heavy on accomplishment, others are all about healing or connection. Again, flourishing isn't static, it's rhythmic. And maybe most importantly, flourishing isn't something we do alone. It's something we do together in conversation, in care, in community. So, I don't know, can we call it flourish, like flourishing labor? Flourish labor? I don't know, but it's a thing. And this is really something we often gloss over and is completely neglected when you, I don't know, look at all the wellness fear mongering that's online. Well being doesn't exist in isolation. Sociologically speaking, flourishing isn't just a personal achievement, it's a collective condition. Our ability to feel safe, rested, connected, and purposeful is deeply, deeply shaped by the systems we live in, by access to healthcare, time, community, stable income, sense of belonging. And those systems don't exist in a vacuum either, right? They were built within larger histories of colonialism, capitalism, neoliberalism, forces that taught us to measure worth by productivity, independence, control, and the disconnect from the land and from the earth. Colonialism disconnected people from land, culture, and community, and that disconnection still echoes in the way we define success today. Capitalism turned well-being into a product, something you can buy, optimize, or brand. And neoliberalism told us that if we're struggling, it's a personal failure, not a structural one. And since it's a personal failure, you can buy something to fix it. So when you feel burnt out, unfulfilled, or stuck in self-blame, it's not just you. It's the water we're all swimming in, right? And we so much live in a culture that praises constant motion and rarely makes space for rest. That celebrates resilience while quietly eroding the conditions that allow people to recover and to grow resilience. And a culture that turns care for self, for others, into a luxury, not a right. And this perversion of caring for others as while kind of like disregarding the care of self in this over glorified mother role is a perversion in itself, right? So real flourishing is relational and collective. It grows in communities that value care over competition, rest over relentless output, and belonging over performance. It's not something we hustle toward, but something we create together when we choose connection, compassion, and justice as the ground we stand on. Because flourishing is the whole spectrum, the light, dark, joy, grief, purpose, and pause, right? It's not about chasing that constant high that's fleeting overall anyway, but learning to be with all of us, all of you, the messy and the magical, the ever changing you. And sometimes the most powerful shift starts right here. Not in actually doing more, but in listening more deeply, in taking a Polaroid, a snapshot of your current well being, in tuning out noise long enough to hear the quiet truth that already lives in your body. In if your mind has been working over time trying to figure it all out, maybe this is your cue to pause, to stop thinking and start feeling what's really here. And that's also exactly what I do in my one-on-one private work with my color reading and integration sessions, where we kind of like gently blend aurosoma color energy, and guided meditation to kind of like help you drop back into the wisdom beyond the words and reconnect with your inner voice. So if that speaks to you, please reach out, check the link in bio. I'm happy to talk you through what happens in a session. If if you're like, this is not the moment for me, that's fine. Again, pause. Don't just turn off this podcast and rush to do the next thing on your list. Pause, breathe, and I see you all next week. Thank you for walking the scenic route with me.
And just like that, we've reached the end of another journey together on the Scenic Route podcast. Thank you for spending time with us. Curious for more stories or in search of the resources mentioned in today's episode? Visit us at scenicroutepodcast.com for everything you need. And if you're ready to embrace your scenic route, I've got something special for you. Step off the beaten path with my Scenic Route affirmation card deck. It's crafted for those moments when you're seeking courage, yearning to trust your inner voice, and eager to carve out a path authentically, unmistakably yours. Pick your Scenic Route affirmation today and let it support you. Excited about where your journey might lead? I certainly am. Remember, the Scenic Route is not just about the destination, but the experiences, learnings, and joy we discover along the way. Thank you for being here, and I look forward to seeing you on the Scenic Route again.